Welcome back to another episode of Whole, Healed, and Healthy. Man, I hope your week was a good one. Mine wasn't quite the roller coaster it's been recently. It was still emotional, but it was definitely a lot smoother. I've just been putting people in the places in my life where they belong. We'll keep it at that, right? We'll keep it at that. Last week's episode carried some weight. It was heavy, but we're living in heavy times. So those conversations are necessary. Those conversations are needed. And I realize that, that we have to continue to have those conversations, right? And so I just want to encourage us all just to continue to find, healthy and safe spaces that affirm who you are and spaces that make you feel like your voice matters, because your story is important, your voice matters, and your feelings are important. Your feelings matter. And sometimes that means making hard choices where we have to set boundaries with people that we may love, with people who we may work with our friends, with our families, but your peace is what matters the most, right? We have to prioritize our peace. So I just want to continue to encourage you again, find spaces that are healthy and find spaces that make you feel safe and find spaces that make you feel like your voice matters, because that is important. Your peace matters. Prioritize your peace. So this week, we're still doing the work like every week. That don't stop. That doesn't change. And today, I want to talk about, what it looks like when that work starts to work, right? That work is working, right? People say life be lifing, but today I want to say like the work is working. We're putting in the work and we're seeing evidence of the work. So, healing isn't just something that we say that we're doing. It's not a buzzword. It's not something that's trendy. A lot of us, I think if you're in this space, if you're watching, if you're listening, that you don't just say you're healing because it's like the popular thing to say, but it's something that you're really doing because you want better for yourself. You want better for your family. You're trying to create new habits. You're trying to create a new legacy. And we know that in order to do that, we have to be whole, we have to be healed, and we have to be healthy. So it's not just something that we say that we're doing, but it's something that we actually do. And as we continue to put that work in, I believe that healing begins to show up in our choices. It shows up in our peace. It shows up in how we respond. And it shows up in how we show up for others. Again, something that I always say, and I've been saying since last season, is that if I can't be the best version of me for me, I can't be the best version of me for anybody else. So it starts with me. It starts with the work that I put in so that I can be the best version of me for me. So if I'm the best for me, I can be the best for my family, for my friends, for my wife, for my daughter, for my parents, for my sisters. I want to give them the best. I want to give them the best of me. So we have to keep putting that work in. And as we put that work in, I've been, as I've been walking through this healing journey, right? I've been looking at healing as a tree that produces fruit. Fruit doesn't grow overnight. Now, these are things that we know, it's just common sense, right? First there's seed, then there's time, and then there's harvest. Something that we pull from the Bible, seed, time, and harvest. They want you to give you a good offering. They tell you about seed, time, and harvest. I don't need you to give no good offering. I just need you to give yourself grace. But anyway, so we plant seeds, we water them, and then we wait for the harvest to come. And that's how I've been looking at my healing journey, is that we're planting seeds of healing. We water them, right? We water them with the work, and eventually we see the fruit of what we've planted. And so how do we see that fruit? What does that look like? For some, it may look like rest. It may look like joy. It may look like healthy boundaries, or even the strength to stay silent. Those are just a few examples of how that can manifest in your life. Those are some examples of how it's actually been manifesting in my life. One thing that I tend to do, I tend to over-explain myself because I don't like to tell people no. And if you've been following me for any length of time, if you've tuned in last season when we did the lives, I talked about this, that I don't like to disappoint people, but lately I've stopped over explaining myself, because I've learned that it's not our responsibility to manage how you feel after I say no. It's not my responsibility to manage how you feel after I tell you that I can't do something. I don't have to over explain myself. I don't have to over explain why I can't do something. And that's definitely an area that I've seen, the fruit of my healing begin to really manifest itself, because I'm just learning, like, it's not my responsibility to manage other people's feelings. I'm sorry if my no, doesn't sit well with you, but I'm prioritizing my peace right now. I'm prioritizing my mental well-being. So with that being said, hey, if I can't do it, I can't do it. But again, that's an area that I struggled with before, but I've just been noticing that the fruit has been manifesting when I tell people no, and I don't, feel bad because I can't do it. It's just like, yo, it is what it is. I can't do it. So that's what it's been looking like for me. That's just one example where I've been seeing the fruit manifest in my life. A few other things just to, I've noticed that I've been prioritizing my rest. I've been prioritizing, hey, I'm going to make sure that I get as much sleep as I can, because I know that when I don't get enough sleep, I get headaches, I'm cranky, I'm very short with my answers, and I don't want to do that because it doesn't set a good atmosphere in my home. It doesn't make my home feel like a safe space when I'm not safe, right? When I'm short with my answers, when I'm cranky with my answers, when I'm giving one-word answers, when I'm, not responding in a way that is pleasing, it doesn't make my home feel safe, and it creates an environment that is not healthy. So I know that I'm prioritizing my rest. I'm going to get my sleep. I'm prioritizing saying no, and I'm not feeling like I'm missing out on something. When I say no, or when I say that I can't do something, or when I don't show up, again, I'm looking at ways that the fruit is manifesting in my life. I'm looking at ways where I can see the changes of the work that I've been putting in. Even something as small as not responding to a text message right away. And this all goes back to me being a chronic people pleaser, that I got to respond right away. I got to tell them something. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to respond because I'm just not in the space to respond to people. I'm not in the space to respond to you. Ain't got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with me. So I'm going to respond when I feel like it's a good time. And it's small to others, but it's huge to me because I always put people's needs before mine. And I know that I shouldn't do that. But again, that goes back to being a chronic people pleaser. So I'm noticing the areas where this healing is manifesting. I'm noticing the areas where the work that I've been doing behind the scenes is finally starting to show out front. And it's a good feeling. It's a great feeling to just say, I have peace. It's a great feeling to say, like, I don't feel bad for things, Healing for me has been looking like not giving people unrestricted access to my life. And that's a part of not responding to text messages right away. People don't deserve unrestricted access to you. You have to set boundaries, and you have to set healthy boundaries. And if people can't respect those things, then that's another conversation that you may have to have on another day. But we have to make sure that we set boundaries, because if you have no boundaries, listen, you'll just continue to go and go and go and go, and you'll burn yourself out every single day. And that's not healthy. That's not peaceful. That's not wholeness. That's not living in a way that's conducive to an environment that invites safety. Because if I just go, I don't feel like I'm safe. Yeah, so we're talking about not having unrestricted access. That means that sometimes you got to delete some phone numbers. Sometimes you got to block some people on social media. Sometimes you just got to let people go. And I'm seeing the fruit of that, being able to make those choices with a clear conscience, right? And a pure heart. It's not from a space of trying to be malicious. It's not from a space of trying to be petty. At least not all the time. But when I block a number, or when I remove someone from a social media site, or if I just say, hey, you know what, I think it's best if we go our separate ways, that's fruit of healing manifesting in my life, and I'm making those choices from a clear conscience, from a place where I know it's pure. It's not about hatred. It's not about being petty. It's not about trying to be funny. But it's just being in a space where I know that I'm making decisions based on prioritizing my peace, based on prioritizing my safety, and based on prioritizing my mental well-being. I'm making those choices from a pure heart, and I can say that that feels good because I haven't always done that. I've usually put people's needs before mine, and it burned me out. It burned me out, and it just made me, it just left a sour taste in my mouth. But today I can say that I no longer make those choices based on that, and I'm glad about it. I'm glad about it. So I just want to say, for those of you who are listening, for those of you who are watching, just pause for a minute. And I know that you'll see the fruit of the work that you've been putting in. Like if you just pause and just reflect, like, what are some areas in your life that you've seen fruit manifest for you? It could be like you got a little bit more peace in your home. It could be a new daily routine. It could be sleeping in. It could be saying, hey, I'm going to get up earlier so that I can, so that I can start my day earlier and get things done so that I can have more me time or more free time at the end of the day. It may mean, hey, I'm going to sleep in a little bit because I need an extra hour of sleep so that when I wake up, I'm refreshed. Listen, you might have told somebody no and you didn't feel bad about it. Like that's huge for a lot of us. Again, I'm a chronic people pleaser, so not saying no is like it's hard for me to do. So if you told somebody no this week and you didn't feel bad about it, I'm going to give you an applause because that's huge. That's amazing. Listen, it might have even showed up when you decided, you know what? I'm going to grab that apple instead of grabbing that cookie. Because healthiness, whole, healed, and healthy again is the total being, it's the total man, it's all of us. So part of that healthiness means making healthy choices in our nutrition, in our diet. I keep saying I need to get on this diet and keep saying I need to work out. So, if you grabbed an apple instead of a cookie this week, man, y'all did that for me. I applaud you and send some of that good energy my way so that I can grab, the apple and not go to crumble, that I can grab the yogurt and not the ice cream, right? I need that. But seriously, man, sometimes I think that we don't value those things, or we think that those things are little, but those things are huge. It could be something as serious as choosing to walk away from a friendship that's no longer serving you, and I think that's a big one. We were kind of joking about, grabbing the apple instead of the cookie, and, it may seem small, but it is huge. And it's just as big as walking away from a relationship that's no longer serving you. Like, it's hard to walk away from people that we love. It's hard to walk away from spaces that we've cherished. It's hard to walk away from those things, and it's hard to let those things go. But I just want to applaud us all in doing the work. I want to applaud us all in making those hard choices, no matter how big or small, no matter how big or small it seems, it matters. It's yours and it counts. It's your choice. It's your decision. It's your story. It's your healing. So it matters and it counts. And I'm here to applaud you. I'm here to root for you. I'm here to cheer you on because we're walking this journey together. Yeah, there may be different, we all may be taking different paths, but we're all walking on the healing journey and we're walking it together. So I'm just here to continue to encourage you to continue to put that work in and continue to look at the small things that matter. Continue to look at the things that you've been doing that really count. And as we come to a close in this episode, for those who have been watching and maybe wondering, am I even making progress? Is the work working? Am I even healing? I want you to know that the answer to that question, to those questions, is yes. You're making progress. The work is working. You are healing. It just might not look how you expected it to look. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I've just been waiting for. Like I thought that in order for me to really like be healed completely, like I've just been waiting for like a phone call or a text message and for people to apologize and then just like, oh, the sky opens up and boom. But That's not always the case because my healing is not contingent on other people's responses to me. My healing is contingent on all the work that I choose to put in. So yeah, if you're looking at this and you're like, is the work working? Am I making progress? I want you to know that answer is yes. Like, you're making great progress. Sometimes we just have to take a moment and stop and really smell the roses, right? We have to admire the view as we continue to walk. This thing is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a journey, and it's a beautiful journey. So if you ever been wondering and questioning, like, is the work working? Yeah, it's working. Just gotta pause, man. You just gotta pause for a little bit. You have to pause. You have to look around. You have to look at the moments where you did not get angry. You have to look at the moments where you just took a quick pause before you responded. You have to look at the moments when you chose to be silent. You have to look at the moments where you chose to smile. Even look at the moments when you're feeling, genuinely happy and you don't know why. That is evidence that the work that you're doing is working. I'm reminded of a story in the Bible where Elisha was looking for God. He was looking for God and he didn't feel that God was with him. There was an earthquake and there was fire and he was like, God, is that you? God, is that you? And he didn't hear the voice of God. But then it was just when he took a moment and he got quiet, and that's when he heard God's voice. And for a lot of us, that's the way that our healing works, is that we've planted all these seeds and the tree is beginning to grow and we're looking for the fruit to manifest and we're looking for it. And sometimes we're looking for it in the wrong places. It's that small moment that you said, man, you know what? I didn't act like how I normally would act, or I didn't respond how I would normally respond. It's in those moments that we can see the fruit is working. It's in those moments that we can see that the fruit is manifesting. So I just want to encourage you to look at those small moments, to pause and reflect and look at how far you've come, because you've come a long way. So as we come to a close in this episode, I just want to encourage us and just let us know that we don't have to explain our healing. We just have to keep walking in it. Just continue to walk in your healing, continue to walk in that journey, and let your tree speak for itself. Let your fruit speak for itself. I'm getting tongue tied. Whether it looks like joy, whether it looks like sitting in stillness, whether it looks like sitting in calmness, whether it looks like having hard conversations, because those are going to continue to be necessary, whether it's soft mornings, whether it's sleeping in late, whether it's getting up early, whatever it is, it all counts because it's all your story. So I just want to encourage you, keep doing the work, keep watering those seeds, and you are going to see the fruit manifest in your life. Man, I love you to life. I pray that you have a blessed and amazing week. And I want you to be whole. I want you to be healed, and I want you to be healthy. Until next week, I love you. Peace.